What up? What up? Welcome to the Land Your Bets sports betting show live stream. Got a couple of y'all in here already. We're ready to go. Get some of these bets going. I'm going to tell you right now, feeling good about yesterday. I mean, we were all over that Warriors game. We kind of knew, like, everybody wanted to bet down on that game, on the total. And it just felt so good to watch that total drop for us as we got so much good stuff going in that game with Steph. Steph is hilarious in the sense that you could bet on him and feel comfortable even when he has 0 points in the first quarter and go, I mean, this bet's not dead, right? Like, we still got Steph Curry at any time he wants to get hot, and we're going to be good to go. And that's what happened. I believe he scored 0 points in that first quarter, and I want to say he scored 0 points in the third quarter, but I got to look into that real quick. Let me get this screen up for you, get this a little bit bigger. The stuff with Steph, I do want to look at that real quick and then get into some of these bets because I know we got to get going because we got games rolling already. But if you look at yesterday's game log and you look at Curry, because you can look at how many points he scored by quarter, right? So we'll go to Q1 for Curry, 0 points right there. Second quarter, I know he got 13, right? And then Q3, I don't believe he did end up going off, bro. In the first like 2 minutes of Q3, he had no points once again up until about the 6-minute mark, and then he went bonkers again for the 13 that he scored in the third. And the 5 that he got us to get over the 30 as well, which felt great because he had us good in the third quarter. So we felt good about that game yesterday. We knew what was going on. Andrew Wiggins, if you rode as well, our boy had 7 points in the first quarter. We were like, wow, what a call on Andrew Wiggins. He's going to get 6 points, maybe even in the second quarter right here. And that ended up being not the case. He didn't get any in the second. And then in the third, he got 5. So he was sitting on 5, and we were like, great, he's at 12. You know he's not going to get another point. Came up with 4 in the fourth. So we felt good about yesterday. Let's get into to some of these things we're talking about here. I was saying at the top, like, I'm going to be doing this a little bit more live with you than even normal just because I've only got a few bets in already, and I want to look at those with you real quick. But jump in the comments and let me know what you got as well for today. You got Heat minus 5.5. I mean, who's playing real quick? I do want to touch on that because that game's about to tip, right? It's literally about to. But who's playing? Nobody's playing for Washington at this point. They're going to be looking at. I mean, if we look at real quick, just their lineup on ESPN.com, they don't have Tyus Jones, right? They don't have Denny Avdia's now out. I believe Kuz is out as well. I got to go all the way down to Washington real quick. So Avdia's out. I believe I still didn't see if Koulibaly's playing. Like, I know Tyus Jones not going to play. They're playing Boston. With the lineup that we're looking at here, if all these dudes don't play, is Jordan Poole and Corey Kispert, and maybe a little bit of Rashawn Holmes in there. We're about to get the second-year player, PBJ, 30 or whatever he is. He came over from nowhere from the Dubs, playing in the G League. So, I mean, if that game is it still 5.5? It's just going to be so like the Heat to just let them stay in that game and then not do anything with it. But it's down to 5.5. Well, Jimmy's not playing for Miami, but who cares? Like, that's crazy. I mean, Jimmy's going to play and save himself for that Philly game, I guess, make sure they win that one. But yeah, I mean, man, I don't know, bro. I'm not with it. So the first one I'm looking at real quick, I want to just talk about the Denver-Dallas game real quick because what I'm looking at here is assists. And I wanted to know, who do I think is going to dime up more between Jokic and Jamal Murray in this one? And Murray, it says 6.5, but you got to eat all that minus 140 nonsense over here on FanDuel. So if you look at like plus 105, plus 110 for over 7.5, I get it. I was looking at the potential assists for both these dudes over the course of the last like 5 games. If you go over to NBA stats, player tracking, as we do, go to passing. I mean, if you look at the last 5 for this team, that's going to be, like I said, it's going to be Jamal Murray, the dude who's been getting the potential assists, and they both have about the same assists, right? So Murray's got 1.5 more potential assists per game with about the same assists as well. And he's at 7.5 versus the 8.5. You look at the way that the Dallas team defends. Really, what I was looking at here is, how does Dallas defend the pick and roll more than anything? Because we'll deal with courtside pal at a different time. But if you look at the way that, I mean, we know who's going to be, what the plays are here for the Denver team. If you look at pick and roll ball handler and you just go to Denver, you know that Jamal Murray is going to be doing that a ton, right? So we'll go to Denver and we'll just say who's the pick and roll ball handler consistently. Obviously, Jamal Murray, you know that they're running that action all the time. And he's about a point per possession that they run that, considering 7 points a game. I mean, that's good, right? Like those are good numbers. Obviously, like the field goal percentage would be around 50%. So we're good with that. So, I mean, for Jamal, it's like he's scoring off of that a ton against a team like Dallas, I believe, as well. Because if you look at Dallas and the way that they defend the pick and roll ball handler, we got to go to teams real quick. Let me bring up a different window so we can do that easily. But if you look at the way that Dallas defends the pick and roll, they're way better at defending the pick and roll man than they are the pick and roll ball handler. But let's look at that real quick. Teams play type defensive. So we can look at how they defend against this, the pick and roll ball handler for Dallas. And Denver locks up the ball handler. Dallas is worse versus the ball handler, right? Where am I at here? Points that they give up. Yeah, they're about middle of the pack there in terms of defensive. If you look at the pick and roll ball man, let me pull up my notes so I can just cheat a little bit too. But if you look at the pick and roll ball man for them, yeah, so they're 13th most points per game to the ball handler, 5th fewest points per game to the roll man, right? So if you look at the way that they defend Joker going to the rim, obviously Gafford is going to be in there a ton to have to guard him. And so defensively, they are giving up. This is defensively pick and roll man. They're not giving it up against him, right? Like I said, like 5th or 6th fewest points per game that they give up to the roll man on these pick and rolls, which is always Joker, which is a different beast than anybody that they face. So I still think that the first play for me, honestly, is probably Jamal Murray assists at a plus money here. Or excuse me, Nikola Jokic. Because what we're saying is that Jamal Murray is not going to be able to find the roll man on the pick and roll as easily. He's going to be able to score off of it. So I think these assists are going to be coming from Joker tonight more than they are going to be coming from Jamal Murray. That's the first play I had on the card because of the fact that like everything I just looked at with you, right, is the fact that even though Jamal has had more potential assists, they're still at about the same amount of assists per game over the course of their last bunch of games. And you look at the centers that Joker was playing against. I mean, he was just about to take the Spurs to school, which we knew he was going to get his points in that game. Against that Miami team, he came out and he really didn't do much of anything. That was a really low scoring game, 103-97. He let his team kind of play around him and let the defense just sort of come suck into him. And then at that point, he was able to just get it out and go with his players around him. Right. So I'm liking that. I'm taking the Joker over on assists. I do think the Murray points are live as well, but something I didn't hit that. Something I did hit is the Daniel Gafford 10.5 points. And obviously there's a lot of green here as well. And I'll put this card together so I put it right on the screen for y'all and you can see what it is. But the first thing I am doing, like I said, besides the Joker assists, is I'm also coming up with the Daniel Gafford points. So let me put that up on the updated card real quick. We got, and I'll go into the Gafford stuff real quick. Nikola Jokic over 8.5 assists. You can take a double-double. Obviously, for him, it's like death taxes and double-doubles for Joker, so it's not like you're really going to get any value on Joker double-double. But if you think they're going to win this game, Joker double-double and the win parlayed in this game versus Dallas, that at least gets you, some like plus 120, plus 130, I think is what it was earlier. You might get a little bit better now that Luka is ruled in for this game. You also have Dante Exum playing in this game. The thing I would look at, too, is I believe Kyrie is fasting. Like, I'm not going to pretend like I know exactly what I'm talking about there. But I know that Kyrie does have to fast until sundown, and it's not sundown in any of the time zones here. So he might not be quite himself. I don't want to look into that too deeply, but there were some numbers correlating Ramadan and him fasting to him not playing as well last season, especially on a weekend game where you're going to get those earlier start times. Daniel Gafford, we're going to go over 10.5 points for him. And I'll show you what I'm looking at with that right now. For Gafford, like, first of all, he's got to play. Like, he's got to guard Jokic. Like, you're not putting Derek Lively on Jokic. That's going to be just barbecue chicken, as we know. If you look at the minutes for Gafford as of late, we were coming up on the 26 per game that he's had, 24, 25 per game, rather, since the Detroit game, right? And Lively's been playing in these games, but they just realize how good he is with Luka in there running to the rim and being the actual best rim running center that he's had since, I guess since JaVale, maybe, if you want to consider it that. But I'd probably say Gafford, obviously a bit better all around at this point than JaVale. So for Gafford, the minutes are got to be there for him. So he's got to play that 26. And if you put him at the 26, if you look at the field goal attempts in these last few games, 11, 5, 9, though, right? 7. If he gets the 7 to 9 field goal attempts that he needs, shooting at the percentage he's at, because he's so close to the rim, right? So his field goal percentage is at 72.5% because he's all dunks, right? And shots right around the rim, maybe some second chance points, but it's all dunks with Gafford and tip-ins and things of that nature. So the 19 points here came on how many free throws? Like none, right? So that's always annoying that you take a center that doesn't get free throw attempts because he's not really ever in a back to the basket position to really draw fouls or anything like that. But because of the fact that he hasn't needed free throws to get these point totals over the course of this last 6 games right here, you feel pretty good about that. The Golden State game was not a good matchup for him because they don't have a center. So that's what I like to look at with guys like him is like, is there a reason for him to play? If they don't have to play him, they can go small. Then that worries me. But they need Gafford. They're going to have to play him to guard Jokic as much as possible, as much as one can guard Jokic. So all that leads me to go, is there volume for Gafford? Yes. The other thing I want to look at real quick is if you look at the pick and roll stuff, because both these teams, we know, are running the pick and roll at a really high frequency. In fact, if you look at offensively, pick and roll man stuff, this is teams play tight. Pick and roll man, this is all on the NBA stats pages, really easy to find. If you look at the roll, let's just look at ball handler. Come on, fat fingers. Look at the way that these teams play, how many possessions per game, right? The amount of possessions that they're in this. If you look at, I guess they're a little further down. I mean, Dallas right here. Denver, I mean, even if they're not running it that much, you know that Jokic and Murray are running it. Wow, they have the fewest. I mean, this is all Jamal. This is half of these are Jamal Murray. So, I mean, it's still a good percentage of them. The frequency, yeah, that's crazy that they were that low. I thought they'd be running that play a bit more. But they also run the dribble handoff with Murray and Jokic. Either way, if you obviously Dallas is going to keep running that play. If you look at the way that Denver defends the roll man on the pick and roll here defensively, Denver is giving it up to the roll man a bunch. So points per game, Denver gives up the 5th most or 6th most right here. Points per game to the roll man, right? So that's Daniel Gafford. And there's a reason for that. Jokic barely jumps over a piece of plywood. Not that he has to, but that's the only negative thing you could really say about him is he can't really jump over anything, right? And so that's the only reason that I think that you can throw it up and you can put it up and feel good about it. I got 1 unit on each of these plays, Fox5. It's a good question. I'm just playing 1 unit on the Joker assists and the Gafford points right now is where we're at. So I want to take a quick look at the comments real quick. If you guys have anything, we got MB8 talking about Fontecchio 2.5 threes and the Heat money line. Okay, yeah. So who's going to play for Detroit in this game too? Because Cade got ruled in, so that's good. He and Fontecchio have been looking good together. If we look at the threes for Fontecchio, and you got that, you said plus 167, so that makes sense. I'll update this with the 1 unit too for everybody real quick on these 2 plays, but we're looking at the three attempts. So, I mean, he's made 5 last game. Let's see the attempts where he's at. Minutes wise, he's up in the 30s, so we're good there. And then the 3-point attempts, he's at 6 of them. Needs to hit 3. Obviously, he's been doing that. But in the last 3, he's up to 7, 7, and 8 3-point attempts, right? If it's 3 for 7 for Fontecchio, I'm feeling pretty good about that. Let me look real quick at the catch and shoot stuff and the way that the Heat defend catch and shoot, because I'm pretty confident that's what Fontecchio is doing. If you go to play type, let's do spot up for a minute. Defensive. We look at Miami. How many times they're giving up the 3rd most attempts from to spot up. So that's basically the highest frequency of their plays in the league. You know, if it's a high possession, they're playing at a slow pace. So that's going to be the highest frequency. Points per possession, also bottom 3. Fontecchio might be a good look right there. I think that's a good start. Let me look at that real quick in terms of Fontecchio, what he's been doing over the course of the last few. Player shooting. This is where I always... No, yeah, it's not player shooting because I need to see where they're shooting from. I also don't think it's shot dashboard. I guess we have to do spot up for them too. If anybody remembers, I always get messed up where this is at, the catch and shoot stuff. But that's going to be important for Fontecchio. Let me see where he's at with Detroit. The problem is we can't look at the how many games recently. Or let's do Detroit. But we can see what he's done with them. So, yeah, he's got the most spot ups, as you can see. Yeah, that makes sense. That's what I figured it was. Yeah, and so actually it is helpful because Bogey and Alec Burks, neither of those dudes are on this team anymore. So you can see it's clearly Fontecchio. He even had more possessions than them when they were on the team in terms of how often he's doing this. So they're looking for him in the spot up. If you talk about the field goal attempts from there, 5.5. You got to imagine that most of those are threes. He's taken how many field goal attempts per game? 11. And yeah, a little bit more than half his shots are from deep. So that's a good number there. Yeah, he's not really shooting any mid-range, I would imagine. So that's a good look right there for Fontecchio in the threes. If he's going to be the spot-up guy against Miami, that is something we can continue to rely on. I'll ride with you on that, NBA. I don't have a place for it yet. I'm gonna have to look for these. Is the only thing, obviously, but I like that. I like that right there. Let me update that. We'll put Fontecchio on the card because even if this is a blowout, and it may or may not be, but obviously there's some sharp money coming in on the Pistons to cover this number. Because Cade was ruled in, there was a chance he wasn't going to play, and you're not going to bet on Detroit without Cade, with Marcus Sasser and Ivy running that offense. So Fontecchio over 2.5, 3 p.m. You got the Heat money line, I believe, in there, which I understand, but yeah, you want to know why the Suns are so trash? I mean, I got a couple thoughts for sure, but over under on Dallas real quick. Let me hit that because I do think that is an over. And there's a couple of reasons I believe that number jumped up too, but I want to touch on that while we're before I get away from Denver and Dallas. If you look at the all markets right here for their total, because we got 15 minutes. I mean, you got probably like 20 minutes till that game tips. So we got them at. Yeah, everyone's betting on Dallas with Luka in too, but Luka in also just means the over. That's really what it comes down to, is like this team scoring points with and without Luka is a huge difference. So that's going to be the first thing I look at. And really just like, I don't think there's anything that the Mavs are going to be able to do to stop Jokic down low. I do like his assists in this one. I don't know, triple double for him again. I mean, 2 triple doubles? That's a fun parlay. I don't think that I'm going to look at the actual odds for that right now. I'm probably not going to play that, but that's something fun. I bet we're seeing out there from those touts on Twitter is the triple double for both these dudes, the Serbian and the Slovenian guys in this Nuggets Mavs game. But yeah, for the total on that, I'm on the over. If you want to look at like Dallas's recent stuff too, well, let's just look at Dallas Mavericks with and without Luka this season. And let's do pace because I want to know if that changes at all. But it's probably just the offensive rating for real. With and without Luka, I mean, no, the pace definitely changes a bit. They're faster with him. I mean, 9 more points per game, 8 more, whatever you want to call it, like whatever you need to know there. They're going to score a ton more. And I'm assuming like the totals of these games too. Let's do Mavericks versus Nuggets last 4 games. See what that looks like real quick. And if you look at the last 4 times they played was all at Denver. That's crazy. Let's do last 6 games because this one's at Dallas, right? Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, this is my bad. This is at Dallas. If we look at the way that they played recently at home, yeah, they crushed them right here. Did Joker play in this game and just got smacked? This is last season. Yeah, Joker didn't play in that one, so we don't care about that. They did give up the 127. This one was a little bit lower scoring. Also, no Joker. So we don't have anything to work with there. But you look at the ones with Joker, obviously closer. Yeah, I mean, still getting over the 230 mark there. They definitely took the value away when it was 225 and a half. That's a big problem for me. I know some people that hit that at like 229 and a half as well. Still think that was a good number. But once we get up here, I still prefer an over, but it's either over or stay away on the total there. Let me look at Bam's. Oh, that game started too, so you might have to be live betting that, right? With the Bam stuff, we should do a live stream with live betting because you got to go in with a plan. I didn't have a plan on this Miami game for live betting for real, so I'm not going to touch that real quick. Isaiah Stewart, I'm being asked about. Oh, and that game started. My bad. So yeah, I'm gonna be off that game for a minute. Crack Sparrow, my guy's got MPJ 2.5 threes. I believe he went under last game, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, let's keep it in this game for 1 sec as we do get some more. I'm gonna refresh this too because sometimes you got to refresh. I know it just saw PJ Washington. Look at how soon before this tip we get props for this game. Like this game is gonna tip in like 15 minutes, and we just started getting these props. Like I knew I had to refresh here. So we even got Peyton Watson props at this point. Derek Lively is gonna get minutes, but I don't think his minutes have really been touching. What they've probably been about. Yeah, he's about the same as Well, I'm on Gafford right now. Looking at Lively. Yeah, Gafford's taking his minutes, obviously, at this point. They're like, we got a center. There's a reason we traded for him, so he's going to play. So I still like the Gafford. 1 unit on that play, 1 unit on the other one. I have to the quick look that I took at Simone Fontecchio over 2.5 threes. If you can still get that, I don't even know if you might have already hit one by the time I'm talking about this. So we got it. I didn't get it in there, but I did like that tail if you wanted to get that as well live. So you can see that. Yeah, the Suns don't have depth, by the way. That is a good point by Diego Pena. That's going to be a huge part of it. While we're talking about it, I do want to see what their bench stuff is. So I'm going to go to team general. I'm going to look at advanced because for bench players, you can't really look at just core stats, but we are going to filter this to just the bench players and see how good that bench unit is for the Suns net rating wise. Maybe I should just go to this way. Phoenix is going to be the 10th worst bench net rating wise. They're getting, well, I can't look at average minutes there. We can't really look at average minutes per game, but I guess I could just divide it real quick in terms of what we got here. 1,000 divided by 67. So yeah, do that math. That's the amount of minutes per game that they're about getting. Well, no, that's not even right. You got to divide 67 by that and then go into it. I'm not doing that math right now. They have no depth. That's what's up. But yeah, the live stream live betting will be fire. We'll have to do that. But the thing is about live betting real quick, go into it with a plan. So if you were like, either I bet on this team and I'm waiting for the number to get to a different number, right? So if you bet Heat -5.5 and you're like, I'm just waiting to hedge that with a good number on like maybe you get Detroit at like +11.5. You're like, I'm just trying to middle that or something. You wait for Detroit to go down a ton, right? And you think they're gonna be able to come back a little bit. That's one strategy for live betting that you would look at. So we want to have a strategy or 5 before we go into a game or two and then watch it with that knowledge of what we plan to do and see if we pull the trigger on anything. All right, cool. Let me keep going further. Derek Duncan, let me know what you're talking about with the database that you're talking about. If you're talking about the model that I have, that's gonna be a little something different that we could talk about in the future. Did start a lot of work on the website today. So let's look at anything else that we have in this Denver and Dallas game. Nothing that like really jumped out to me other than this stuff. I know Luka does enjoy playing against Denver. I'm sure he wants to get it against them. You can see his head-to-head numbers. He does get in the last 3, right, dating back to the end of last season. Definitely has some good numbers against them. Those were all at Denver. To the versus Denver stuff actually was a little bit less. That's about a year ago. I'm not necessarily going to look at that too deeply. For Luka, it's like really like, do they take him away? And Denver, I believe, is really good limiting the pick and roll man, the ball handler in the pick and roll, not the roll man, the pick and roll ball handler, which obviously is going to be Luka a ton, as we saw. So it's nothing quite there for me, but they are going to probably be blitzing Luka and trying to get the ball out of his hands. Might be a reason that you feel all right about Kyrie. Earlier this season, he did not get to the 25 that he would need. Like I said, I'm actually on a little bit of a fade of Kyrie tonight. I don't want to just go ahead and say like, oh, because he's fasting, that's it. But there's data that backs it up from last year as well. Stuff you got to look at. So that's funny. Preston Newsom saying they won't let you parlay Joker and Luka triple-double. I get that. That's hella annoying though. And then Free Sauce, what's good, bro? You're talking about Nick Claxton over 11.5 points. All centers go crazy on Wemby. Bro, the Spurs have not limited a center from scoring. I think Reagan might have been in office. So, like, I hear that real quick. Let's look at this Brooklyn San Antonio game because that is interesting. And if anybody has anything else for Denver, Dallas, hit me. Let me know. NBA says Simone is already chucking, though, 0 for 2 from deep, but he's 1 for 5 in the game. Gonna need him to hit that a little bit better. Real quick. So I'm looking at I just want to make sure in the comments I didn't have anything else for that. Well, Free Sauce, he's got Aaron Gordon over points and rebounds. I got you on that. Let me look at that's the last thing I'll look at for this game. And then I do want to take a look at that before I forget. What was I just talking about? And I do want to take a look at Claxton and Wemby. Yeah. So the last thing here, you're talking about Aaron Gordon boards and rebounds combined is you talk about that, right? 20 of them. Against the Spurs, he didn't have anybody to bang with. That would have been a good thing. It's for me what it comes down to with Aaron Gordon is does he have somebody to bang with? If he doesn't have somebody that he's going at, I guess PJ Washington would be that dude, right? And they haven't played yet. Let me see. How did Aaron Gordon do against those Hornets? I don't think that's going to be too relevant, but if he was banging with PJ Washington there, then that would be something we could at least look at. Aaron Gordon versus Hornets last 4 games. If anything stands out real quick. 16 points and 5 boards. Good on the points. Minutes, yeah. I mean, there's probably hella blowouts in here, right? Most recently was earlier. I believe PJ was, he was still on the Hornets at that point. Didn't have great numbers, but I'm going to assume that was a complete blowout. Well, they won by 18, so they probably didn't need anybody. I'm sure everybody played like no minutes. Did PJ even play? Yeah, he played, came off the bench. I don't know if there's much you can do with that. I don't think there's much matchup data between those two. That's what I look at for Aaron Gordon, though, is like, is he needed down low? And if he gets pulled from the basket by a stretch big, and PJ Washington's chucking threes, I'm pretty sure. If we look at his 3-point attempts as of late, 6 threes for a power forward per game since he came to this squad. That's a good amount of them, and he's got games with 10 of them. So he's taking the attempts for sure. That pulls Aaron Gordon away from the basket a little bit on defense for those rebounds, but I think the points are probably good for Ago anyway. So you can probably get there if he gets like 16 points, you probably get there, right? But the rebounds are probably 5.5. It's a pretty good number to take it over on for Aaron Gordon. Usually, if you get 6.5, it's the high point for him. But let me look at the other game we just talked about for a minute. This Brooklyn San Antonio game. How crazy is that? And real quick, looking at the injury report of that game, if there's been an update on it at all, I think we've got most people playing. Brooklyn is what we would be looking at because they played yesterday, right? And man, are they sorry, bro? Like they if they don't hit all of their if they don't just shoot dynamite, then they're out. They can't get to the basket at all. They're just a jump shooting squad. Okay, so yeah, we do know we got DFS in as well for Dorian Finney-Smith. All right, so let's look at if we know everybody's in for both these squads pretty much, right? I mean, Chetty's been out. So yeah, everybody that would actually be playing is playing for these two teams. Let me leave that up though. So if we look at this, when we talk about Claxton points, we do want to just real quick look at centers versus this squad right here. That's a lot of 30s already. 31, 31, 45 to Alpi Şengün, 16 to Miles Turner, 23 to Chet, 13 to Rudy, 22 to Naz Reid in the same game. Walker Kessler, who probably played like 9 minutes in that game, got 10 points against them. So let's look at Nick Claxton. This is going to be real easy, and I think that's a really good find. We should be starting with a couple of these things, and I got this in my notes, and I'll probably bring that to you guys more clearly moving forward, where it's like in my notes, I have very clearly centers against San Antonio. Point guards against Indiana actually do really well against they don't do really well rather against Indiana. Point guards against Brooklyn. That's why we hit Halliburton under yesterday, and that hit with ease, right? That we could have called that a first quarter cash because he had no assists and no points in the first quarter. There's certain things like that we look at. So I'm going to make sure I bring those, like, here's my notes on where to start once you look at a game like point guards versus Phoenix. They've had a ton of success. We hit Micic the other night, helped out by that look right away, right? So we'll start getting some more of that up for you as well, so you can look at those sort of cheat sheets in that sense. But right now I'm looking at Nick Claxton points. Oh, look, wow, how shocking that as the scorer and a shooter, Nick Claxton's player profile is going to be a top against this Spurs team. Free sauce, this is, bro, I need to hit you on the side. Obviously, you got some good looks as well, man. I appreciate the look. This is commenter of the day as we start to hand that award out for our guy Free Sauce. Appreciate you, bro. Already feeling really good about that. I mean, I know if we pull up the same thing just to kind of verify on fantasy FanDuel Fantasy Pros right here, and we look at defense, right? FanDuel NBA defense versus position. Centers getting points, going to be second most against San Antonio. Only team that gives up a little bit more is the Wizards because they literally don't have a center anymore. Their center is on Dallas, as we know. So yeah, I'll look at the Heat and Pistons in a minute. But yeah, in this one, like, the Spurs are favored, bro. What? So that's where I start. San Antonio, they got flipped from +1 to -1 because Brooklyn. Really, what you got to look at is how good Nick Claxton's going to get his. The problem, the shots per game for Claxton, real quick, it's whack. But 12.5. I mean, that's where it should be for this game, to be honest. Like, honestly, that's something I keep talking about too. These books are getting sharper when it comes to these player props. Somebody somewhere started working for these books who was actually a player prop, we'll call them scientists, rather than these digital analysts who are just doing these games and sides. That's where they put all their money. And now the books are putting a lot more money into making sure that the people that set their prop lines for player props are a lot stronger. And in the NBA, especially, NBA, NFL, especially, where we love to have individual performances because the individual stats are so fun to track for a lot of these dudes, especially with the astronomical numbers they put up, right? Like, it's more fun to play a player prop in basketball for me than even like a shots on goal in hockey or soccer, or a home run prop for somebody in baseball, or 2 hits, because I'm watching every an hour. I get to actually watch my guy come up to bat. Every 45 minutes, I actually get to watch the thing I bet on have an opportunity to hit or not hit, unless you bet pitchers, right? So I like to have these prop. And anyway, they're getting more popular. They're getting better at doing it, because this 12.5 prop is a good number. That is fair to me. If you look at the minutes that we talk about, they're playing in this San Antonio game. I mean, you're not going to guard Wemby with one person. You're going to have a team defense against him anyway. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if you put Dorian Finney-Smith on Wemby instead of somebody like Nick Claxton, have Claxton roam and be able to help off of his guy. So what I'm trying to get at is, like, I don't know about the minutes. He only played these 25 here. I wonder if he had fouls. Let me look at Claxton real quick, just his overall game log, before I just start, throwing bets down like I know what I'm talking about. Nick Claxton let's do last 10 games. He's averaging about 13 that we need him to get. Looking back here, we missed a couple against Indy and Orlando. Those are going to be obviously teams way better at defending centers and his type of center around the rim without the ability to shoot, which he cannot do. But when he played these other teams that are doo-doo against centers, and even Philly falls into that category, even Memphis falls in that category. I don't even know if they had Triple J in this game. If they didn't have Triple J, there was literally nobody to guard him. And look at that. They did not have Jaren Jackson Jr., so he was easily able to get. So what I'm getting at is, like, this is a good look because of the fact that he goes off against these teams that can't guard centers. Even Atlanta, I'm pretty sure, has been bad at defending centers. Maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, I mean, Clint Capella hasn't really been it on defense necessarily. Looking at their last 7, they've been all right. Either way, he still had a good game against Atlanta. So I think I do like this Nick Claxton pick for sure. Now, he's got the field goal attempts right here. I mean, when he's played 10, 10, 8, 8, so 13 points on 8 shots is a good. Obviously, his field goal percentage is always gonna be pretty high. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to overthink this one. If he hits, let's say he goes 6 for 10 against this team, he doesn't get to the free throw line. We know that, but he did here a bit against these bad defensive teams. So yeah, I mean, look, you're not going to hear me argue with that pick at all. I think it's good for a half a unit. I'm going to put it down on here. Great look by Sauce. Appreciate you, bro. I'm going to update this. How we looking on Simone, man? Where are we at with that? Where are you at, Simone? Let's just go to NBA real quick. Go to this box score, go to play-by-play. Where are we at right now? Bam, 0 assists. I'm not sure if we were talking about under or over for that, but I didn't even look at it. Simone got a 3. All right. He's firing, bro. That's what we care about. And he's not going to stop, because that's going to be the go-to play for most of these plays. And he's already got the most minutes on the team out there. He's a really good stretch 3 for them. So I dig that. We'll feel good about him. He's got 3 under his belt right now, right? 1 for 3. If he takes 8 of them, 3 is very, very, very doable. So going 2 for 5 the rest of the way, yeah, I mean, it's 40%, but that makes up for the dog shit that he started with. So we'll still ride with Simone. Let me add this other bet we were just talking about right now, Nick Claxton. Claxton's also done me wrong so many times. I don't know if we want to add the rebounds to that, but I'll just put over 12.5, because we do get good juice on that right now if you take the over 12.5. And I'm assuming that Free Sauce might even gotten a better number. I think you said like 11.5, which is dope. But we'll put 0.5 on that for now too, and I'll make that clear. We got plus money over here for Claxton, don't we? I'm not obviously going to be able to get these ones in, or maybe I'll be able to get the Claxton one in. Now we get at least even money on FanDuel, so that's good enough right there. If I get to it, we'll get to it. Simone, I only put a half a unit as well on that one, and I didn't get the number on that, but I'm just putting it up. It's obviously not something I bet. Gafford, I have a full unit on, and minus 108 on FanDuel, so I'll update that for you. FD 1U, and I got the Joker assists. I got to look at where I got that number at, but I put a full unit on that. All right. Right quick, let me jump back in here, see what we got. Free Sauce wants to fade Kelly Olynyk again. Such a good fade until he tips in like 6 in a row or whatever bull ass crap he was pulling in that last game. One more thing I was going to look at here. If you want to go, what we did yesterday with Hallie was we kind of just faded point guards against this Brooklyn team. I was going to look at Trey Jones a little bit, but let me look at Kelly Olynyk, because now you got me thinking. about the other night. That was brutal. We deserved yesterday to go 5-1, by the way, after that nasty shit that we took with Kelly Olynyk coming at us like that. And now he's playing Orlando again. It's the same shit, right? It's the same stuff. You want to go back for it? Oh man, you got to go back for it. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I feel like a bunch of people in here probably tailed. If they see Kelly Olynyk props up, I might get banned. He's at 6.5, and now it's minus 118 for the under on that. Is that really the best number we get? You get minus 115 on points bet, the doo-doo of books. You can get minus 109 on Caesars, though. Bruh. What about the points? He only had 10 versus Orlando. What about all those tip-ins at the end? Garbage. The points and rebounds combined, he's been doing at least one of those things well. I feel it. I mean, it's a good play again. I mean, and he just hit it, and he was so likely not to hit it. So, all right, we're going back to it, bro. Bro, going back to it. I feel it. I mean, I can't stay away. It was such a good bet the other day. I don't know why. I'm adding Kelly Olynyk to it. Kelly O under 6.5. That's going to be minus 119 on Caesar. I haven't put anything on it, but I mean, why not a full unit? Putting that down. I'm going to have to make some text real quick and get some of these bets in, y'all. All right. I don't think I've missed anything yet, but make sure if you let me know if I have. The Hawks and Clips, that's a good question by Foxfi over here with the total in that game. That was something I was looking at, bro, and it's kind of difficult to put that one together. That is a sharp line. It's obviously dropped a ton, but we still don't know, right, about the injury report with that Clippers team. The injury report for the Clippers is just always it's a absolute dog and pony show, bro. It's crazy. Nobody ever knows what to do with that. So Harden and Norm Powell, both questionable. One thing I've been trying to hit is Norm Powell when Kawhi is out and Norm Powell just starts going crazy, or PG, one of those two, really one of the big three. Norm Powell is the dude that steps in with the usage. The other stuff I was looking at here real quick before I get away from this one, and I'll look at that Clippers Hawks game. It starts a little later, so I can get to that in 1 sec, and then we'll get out of here in the next like 20 minutes. But the Emmanuel Quickly stuff, like I think I got to fade our guy with the points and assists in this Orlando matchup. Now, honestly, the only thing that makes me fade it, that makes me a little bit scared of taking the Emmanuel Quickly unders, is the way that this Toronto Raptors team does it what it does on the road versus what it does at home. If you look at them, let's look at Toronto Raptors at home versus on road let's do last 20, and I should probably write games in there. So yeah, I mean, in the last 20 alone, they're at like, we'll say that's 109. So 7 more points per game rather. Let's look at pace too. Raptors pace at home versus on the road last 20. They're actually playing faster at home. They just score more on the road. Like their offensive rating is better. That's crazy. Offensive rating at home and on road last 20 games. So their offensive rating on the road is 6 points better per 100 than when they play at home. So that's the thing, is like they've been way better on the road on offense than at home. And that's the only thing about Emmanuel that scares me as well. Let me look at him specifically. Let's look at Emmanuel quickly. Stats at home and on the road last 20. Yeah, I mean, he goes a little crazier, and he's still at 28.1 points and assists combined, which he needs 29 against one of the better. Oh, I'm sorry. And I can even get the under at 29.5 for him, as it seems maybe somebody was betting it up. But yeah, I think that the play with Quickly is a fade here for real. And that's what I was, one of the things I was looking at before we started the stream too, that I was already like, bruh, like, it was a good fade the other day. The assist wasn't a great fade once we had Gary Trent in, and it was like, okay, I didn't like that as much because I thought they would just take away his points. But even though he got the assist against Orlando the other day, he can't do both. That's where we're at. That's why I like the points and assists combined. It's like if he decides he's going to go crazy from the top of the key, which is where I continuously talk about with y'all that the Magic are the most vulnerable. I think they've been better. I keep going back to that. Last year and the beginning of this year, they were real bad in terms of limiting above the break stuff. I think they got better, and I should eat my words a little bit. Because yeah, on the season, if you look at the attempts, they're giving up the fifth fewest attempts and like the sixth fewest makes. So I do need to eat my words a little bit on that, because even the percentage that they're allowing is like top 11, whatever that number is right there, right? Top 12 in terms of the best field goal percentage against them. That they're, so they're playing good D above the break a bit better. Let's look at put quickly real quick in here, but I do think this is a good fade for the both of them on points and assists combined. I hadn't played it yet and was looking at it right before the stream. Like I was saying, I was doing a lot of stuff for the website, so I hope that had that come out pretty soon. But you look at quickly, and it's going to be 21st in terms of playmaking, points as a scorer. I thought we might get a better opportunity for him to score, but no, it's still like 17th as far as where he's shooting from. Like I said, Orlando has gotten a lot better at defending above the break stuff. I mean, Markelle Fultz has actually played this season. That's helpful. Jalen Suggs has been a beast on defense. He's probably looking at like all second or third team defense, the way that he's played in limited threes this season. So I think we got to fade quickly on this one. I'm going to put that in there because I got the 29.5. It was at 28.5 as the best number I could find when I was looking at this right before the stream started. But we're going to put quickly in there as well and update the card with our guy. Somebody else is going to have to score for Toronto in this one if they're going to do anything, because I'm put IQ under 29.5 PA. And we got minus 121 on Caesar as the best number right now, I believe, right? Minus 121 Caesar. Yeah. That's a unit right there. But I need to take out one of these. I'll just put last names. All right. We're doing Fontecchio. We got Jokic. Y'all know who Jokic is. Claxton. There's no other Claxton. Speedy's not in the league anymore. Kelly O we'll put in there. All right. And then we got 1U on Emmanuel. I like this card right now, for real. So what we got right now, we got Joker under or over 8.5 assists for a unit. Let me just get back to my notes so I can tell you exactly what I got that for. Minus 109. Nice. Minus 109 on Caesar for Jokic. Let me update that for y'all. And then we got, like I was reading off, Daniel Gafford, minus 109 on Caesar for Joker. 1U. All right. Then we got Daniel Gafford that we went over 10.5 points, partly based on volume. Like our guy's got to play in this game. He's got to be there. He's the only dude that can even limit Jokic, much less stop anybody like that. Fontecchio over 2.5 threes. Where you at, Fontecchio? He's shooting the ball still. No, but he got taken out, right? So we got to wait for him to get back in for like the last 6 minutes. You need to hit one in the last 6 minutes of this half for us, Fontecchio. I think we can ride with that. And then, as you can see here, let me get off this though. You got Claxton over 12.5 points. Great look by Sauce. Free Sauce. There's a couple of sauces in here. So we got Free Sauce. Kelly O under 6.5 because Free Sauce brought it back to my attention, just like dangling it right there in front of me. Like, you want this? And I was like, yeah, shit. All right. I want it. I want under 6.5 rebounds is what that is for Kelly O. Let me be more specific there. The 12.5 is points for Gafford. IQ, the Emmanuel quickly, we just put that one together. Under 29.5 points and assists. You saw what I was saying. As far as is that what they're running? Is the pick and roll ball handler stuff with him? Let me look real quick. Let's look at he's probably getting hella points in transition. IQ's trying to push it. Let's do pick and roll ball handler, offensive, and let's do the Raptors real quick and see what he's doing. Possessions. Yeah, he's still doing it the most. This is what we looked at the other day, but he's not exactly efficient scoring off of it. Right? Like he's got it doing it more times than Schroeder, but has fewer points than Schroeder. So worse points per possession for sure. Only shooting 34% coming off the pick and roll ball handler right now. And obviously this is 31 games with Toronto. So that's good because I put Toronto in here. So we know this is only the numbers that he's had with that team. Yeah, the more I look at it, the more I feel good about it. So I'm riding with it. I'm going to have to get that into, and I'm going to have to multitask and text a few people a few things about that. And we'll go from there. Let's look at a few more real quick. Mitch Morber says Gordon has hit his both times playing against Mavs in 3 out of the last 5 games. Oh, yeah, we were looking at Gordon a minute ago. Did that game start? I feel like it probably did, right? Yeah, so let's see. We already got the start on that. So you're going to have to bet that live with Aaron Gordon and kind of have to play it from there. If you took the over, I mean, that was a question we had earlier, and I stayed away from it just because I didn't really know enough about the matchup with PJ Washington. And what I was talking about with Aaron Gordon earlier is whenever Aaron Gordon plays in a game where he needs to bang down low, and there are people on the other team where you're like, all right, this is a good matchup for him to have to like play big down low, then I love him getting some rebounds, and then I add it to the points. The points is like really like, is he in a good position to get assists off of Jokic? Like you can look at for him, you can look at stuff like, real quick, I'll look at play type for defense, right? And you do cutting, because he's going to be the dude cutting for this team, right? Oh, and I can't look at defensive metrics against cuts to the basket. Dumb. But you can see the Nuggets are going to be up there in terms of how often they're cutting. And guess who's doing that for them, right? It's going to be Aaron Gordon. So if the team gives up a lot of assists, that's a good way to look at it. Jokic is going to assist him a ton. It's going to be Aaron Gordon. So we do partly why I like the points. What was I just looking at real quick? So let's look at players, play type, cuts, and see how often he's doing that in general. Not at the very top of the league. Possessions. Actually, Jokic is cutting to the basket. Oh, he's right below Jokic. I mean, still in the top like 90th, 80th, yeah, like 90th percentile, top 20 in the league for Aaron Gordon. Probably really efficient off of that. Frequency is pretty high, but let's just look at Denver real quick. But you know what it is for him, right? Like, you know that he's gonna be a dude cutting off of Jokic, and maybe Jokic cuts is like him passing him in this position. But yeah, he's got 3.5 points a game off of that, so that's a big part of it. It being positive money when hitting at that rate, yeah, trappy, right? Fishy, and that's another thing I'm gonna talk about with you guys moving forward. I'm gonna start having like a stinky bet of the day. That's something where it's like, this is fishy. Why is this fishy? And then you get into that real quick, and then honestly, usually fade it. But if the public money comes in on the fishiness, then yeah, then I'll get into that. But stinky bet of the day is gonna be pretty fun. Diego faded Wendell Carter. Yeah, like he didn't get it last one. 9.5 does seem really high in another game where he just, he doesn't normally do that. I was banking on him being able to do that pretty well in this last one, and he didn't for us. But real quick, let me look at where we're at. Okay, he's still not back at the game. Yeah, when we get that game tip, yeah, I feel that is going to be high, but it's really predicated on like them going, well, Kelly O can't get boards. He almost got it. He should have got it, but that's fine. I'm with it. I looked at a manual. That was what I was good on. NBA real quick has DJM, DeJounte Murray. Yeah, I want to look at the last game because DeJounte Murray, Paul George just scored 20 each. I get it. That's a cool boost on FanDuel to use it for. Let's look at that game real quick. I don't really, unfortunately, like I cannot. If you want to go under for Jordan Poole, fine. Like he might take 20 shots in this game, easy. I could easily see that. Let's see Jay Poole without, if he's played a game without Kuz, what it looks like. I mean, it's still not good. Without Tyus Jones and Kuz, he's played that a bunch of times this season, still gone under 2 out of 10. You want to take anybody else out that's not playing? Doesn't really matter. Let's take Avdi out, see if he's played without all three of them dudes. Yeah. So whenever, this is last season. Asshole. My bad. All right. That's what it is. That's why it's, I don't have him on the, yeah, he hasn't done that on the whole as a season. Let's see. The games he's played without Tyus Jones, does anything change for him? And then I can move off this, I promise. He's only played one without Tyus. I was against Chicago. He was never going to score in that game. He did get assists because Chicago gives up way more assists to point guards than they do points to point guards because Alex Caruso locks you up and makes you pass the ball. But yeah, I don't have much for this game, unfortunately, and I cannot, in good conscience, take any props over for the for this Boston team when this is gonna be a blowout. Like, how is this not a blowout? In what world does Boston allow them to hang around at home? This is where Boston does its magic, right? Where Boston goes in and just beats bad teams by 1,000,000 points. So everyone's like, this is the best team ever. And then we forget that it doesn't matter if you beat one team by 33, but you can't beat the Nuggets. That's kind of my take on the Celtics, at least for the regular season and the playoffs. Yeah, I'm not touching that game, but let's close out with anything that. Man, honestly, the way I look at this game, though, because Peyton Pritchard just came up on my radar, is like, if you're going to have them play against a bad team, then you're going to get minutes for these, backups. So this is where, like, this was a blowout, they won, right? The Celtics beat the Dubs by 1,000,000 points. It was the worst loss in like Warriors history. This was another blowout against Portland, or it was a game that nobody played, so he played in it, and then they pulled away at the end. But whenever he's gotten these minutes, the assists might be a play, honestly. To go over 4.5 assists for Peyton Pritchard once he becomes the actual point guard because they take everybody else out, right? And we don't even have Derek White props up, so maybe that does mean that's a big part of this. I'm gonna get away from it. Yeah, I can't. And I know Free Sauce is on the under in that game as for the team total for Washington, which I get that because Boston has played really, really good defense against everybody at home, and if you don't have anybody to play offense, then yeah, I feel that. So here Here's what I was looking at in this game, and let me know if y'all want to talk about anything before I dip about this game. I got another like 10 minutes that we're looking at. I was looking at the big men in this game because what I noticed with Zubac was that he is back to his minutes, right? If you look at the last two, he's back to 31 and a half against Chicago, 32 and a half against the Pellies the other night in that loss. And Kawhi was in that game. And I believe, yeah, he's not even on the injury list anymore. Now we're just talking about Harden and Westbrook. But with Kawhi in there, he's still getting those minutes, right? And so if Kawhi's not taking away his minutes just because they're like, oh, we don't need a big man, we have Kawhi. Kawhi's going to play his, and now they do need Zoo. And if Capella's going to be in there for the minutes that he's been in, it's between he and Jalen Johnson playing big. I mean, he played 32 against Utah the other night with Walker Kessler playing a bunch of minutes too. So I think those two dudes are in playing each other a bunch, right? You look at head-to-head for Capella, the last time he played last season, he played 29 minutes in that game. That's slightly above what his average is. He's at about 26, 27. If he's getting 29 to 32 in that range, then yeah, I like Capella as well in this one because of the sheer amount of possessions he's going to be in there. The question is it rebounds? Is it points and rebounds? And I really never like taking points for Capella if I can avoid it. I know we hit on that the other night, but we hit on that because of the boards. So the 10.5 boards is what I look at. And it looks like we already lost the juice since I was looking at this before the thing. Yeah, because we're at 10.5 now on FanDuel from minus 130. If you want to take that, and that might even be stale because sometimes this stuff fails to pull stuff through, but what's good, Slouch Online? Yeah, we like Claxton over there too. If you want the double, I'm not opposed to it. There's going to be there should be rebounds as well, but the points are what come for centers against this Spurs team for whatever reason. As good as Wemby has been at blocking shots, he has not been good at limiting points to the opposition. So I think both these dudes might be good for their boards here between Clint and Zubac, with them coming back the way that they are. Clint Capella in the last bunch of games has had a million rebound chances. You know, he's the only dude. And even with Jalen Johnson back the other night, now it's really just them two. There's really nobody else. Onyeka Okongwu was the guy taking minutes from Clint Capella. So I'm going to add him to the card. I'm probably going to take the over 10.5 if it's still live. I have to look at it. But I'm going to put Clint Capella on the card, and I'm going to put it's tough for me to take Zubac quite as much because I do think the minutes will be there for him. I do think he'll be out there, but there are other really good rebounders on this team that we know. So if Norman Powell's not in and James Harden's not in, you're just going to need Zoo down low even more. Obviously, then you start looking at like Terrence Mann stuff. I don't know what's going to happen with this lineup. So the only thing I feel really good banking on is the Capella lineup of minutes and rebounds with those rebound chances. I'll just show y'all real quick. If you go to tracking for Capella, go to rebounding. And let's look at the last 5 where he's been playing without all those dudes. And you go to Atlanta. If you do this right, get stats, rebound chances for him, 21. I'd say that's a lot. So him to need 12 rebounds is right at where he would expect him to be at. I don't know that this pace is going to be super high. That was a big part of it against this last squad right here against Utah, was that pace was like up at about 99. And we knew that it was a 245 total, whatever. I took the over on that hit comfortably in like the third quarter, that over hit. So yeah, whatever you want to do with Capella and as far as the points go, I think the rebounds are the play here. I'm going to hit that. And I'll probably do it where I hit the 10.5 at a really good number and maybe hit it with like 1.3 units. So I can get that one, for a full unit back. That's kind of where I'm at with Capella. The other stuff we were talking about, DeJounte Murray, and you parlayed real quick. I know NBA parlayed Murray and George, and you got the boost on that. That was probably a bet right there. Oh yeah, it was the FD boost, right? I got you. Okay, so yeah, they $30 max you on them. You have to take that. Which, I mean, yeah, that's fine. They're sucking you in a little bit with the Paul George stuff because you're not getting that much juice. But they give you the boost at least. So it probably makes up for whatever odds they took away if you actually just parlayed it straight. For him to get 20, has he been doing that? I got to imagine 20. Yeah, he's been getting 20. So, I mean, it's a good number. This Hawks team will give it up from wherever you want to take it. Like in terms of rebound, down low points or points from the perimeter. They've been awful 3-point defense, awful against point guards, especially above the break stuff. So yeah, Paul George will be a decent bet there. But that's not something that I have on mine. So let's close it out here. You're talking about who wins the Nets Spurs game. Good luck, bro. Who wins the Nets Spurs game. Let's see real quick. Have the Spurs been favored this year? Let me go to against the spread trends real quick. This is team rankings that I'm using. This is also a link in the description if you want to look at this one. Let's look at as a favorite in general. against the spread. How many games do they even have? Okay, they've been the favorite 5 times, and they dominated all 5. That's a pretty good start if you like trend betting at all. But it is a flip. What up, Burr Oaks? Who wins Atleti Barcelona? You tell us, bro. You're the one slamming these freaking plus 300s, 10 to 1s, and whatever else you got for UCL. And it'll probably be way more fire than talk about this Nets Spurs game. But how are the most people in the stream coming in right now as I'm talking about Nets Spurs? What is wrong with y'all sickos, man? You guys need help if this is what you care about. But 4-1 to the San Antonio, the against the spread, winning by 14.6 points per game, which means they're usually about a 3.5 point favorite, right? When you look at it compared to the against the spread number and the margin of victory. 3.5 point favorites. Let's real quick, just because we're already on here. What's the Brooklyn Nets as road dogs? And what's the? I hate trying to predict what the Brooklyn Nets are going to do when it's jump shooting. It's all jump shooting, bro. That's all it is for them. Let's see, away dogs. 9-15 against the spread, losing by 9 points per game. What about on no rest, real quick? So this is all trending towards the trends. Tell you if you just want to blindly bet on something that happens. 5 games as favorites for the Spurs isn't the best you sample size here, right? But let me see real quick. Look at this. This is crazy that people are coming in to talk about Net Spurs. I don't know what it is, but no rest against the spread. We're talking about Brooklyn. Brooklyn stand up. 4-6-1 minus 10 against the margin of victory. Usually about 5 point dogs, 4.5 point dogs, right? When they play on the road. Still failing to cover that number. I think this is a good bet on the Spurs, fam. I mean, what about with a rest advantage? Does that matter for the Spurs? It doesn't really matter because they're bad no matter what. But when they have a rest advantage, I mean, 8-7 against the spread. They're losing mostly, but that's because they're not going to be better than the team they're playing very often until you get the freaking Brooklyn Nets coming to town, who, I mean, they shot like 80%, 55% from 3 in the first one. I'm messing with you, Slouch. Yeah, I mean, I probably won't bet on it, but that's the play, fam. Like, if you want to talk about which team to bet on here, I gotta say Nets and Spurs is the play. What's up, Dr. Risha? Good to see you. Quickly's at 28.5 now. Is that the best one you can get? If that's the best number you can get, I was gonna play it at 28.5, but if you take the under in that one, make sure you get good juice for Quickly to go under 28.5. I haven't hit it yet. I did send a message a minute ago to see if I could get that bet in, and I don't know if it was placed yet. That's all I'll say about it. But yeah, honestly, the last thing I'll say is bet on the Spurs if you want. That's a better bet, even though we like Claxton points. That is going to be all the time I have for y'all. I'm going to dip out. Everybody get back to watching some hoop, whatever you're doing today. Happy St. Patty's Day. Maybe you're getting some drinking on. I'm going to be putting out a video tonight with early plays as best I can. Let me know, too. Jump in the comments and let me know. These comments, other video comments, do y'all want the sides and totals? Do you want me to break down the game? Like, and I'll do a better job of putting a poll up, but like I've been doing things a couple ways where I either put these player props together as early as I can. And that's obviously dependent on getting these player props early. So like tonight, if I can get it early, then I'm going to get it. Before I forget, Oaks asking about the CBB brackets. Not yet, but I will be on your show, Burr Oaks 77, talking about this on, I believe we're slated for Wednesday is what I have it on my calendar. I know you got videos tomorrow and Tuesday talking about brackets. That's going to be on this channel. We should get Burr Oaks on here live and in charge, because when you sort of unleash that man and take off any kind of muzzle, he says some of the most amazing shit, especially when it comes to soccer and college basketball. So we might be talking about that soon. We'll keep under promising and over delivering as best we can, but that's my final thing. Let me know what you guys think about the game sides and totals, previewing the whole game versus the props. I'll see what I can get out tonight. If there's good prop lines up, then I'm going to focus on that, because we are 32.5 units up on the props now this season alone. We're creeping in on that 40 I'm trying to get by the end of the month, so we'll hope to keep getting that. But this is the card I'm going to play as long as I can get these last 3 bets in that I don't yet have in. I didn't get the Fontecchio one in, but we'll ride with our guy and see where he's at. What do we got here? Did he hit one again? 48 points. Oh, yes, sir. Let's go, Fontecchio. One more from Fontecchio, and we're looking good, NBA. Appreciate you guys. All right, we'll talk soon. Appreciate everybody who's tuning in and all that. Until I see you next, happy betting.